Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick confirmation if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. So, my name is Neeraj Kedia, and I've been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. So the agenda for today's session, we are going to discuss on what exactly is Azure, its features, the entire platform, the services, what exactly is Power BI, the components of Power BI, Azure machine learning, and then we are going to discuss over the hands-on. So if we talk about Azure, then Azure is the second leading platform in the entire globe after AWS, because AWS has been on #1 position since its inception back in 2006. And Azure has multiple services under its portfolio. So it has services for computation, networking, database, migration, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning on databases, on unstructured databases. So there are multiple services offered under Microsoft Azure, almost more than 100 services in different categories that we can choose to get started with. To see the list of all the services offered under Azure, we can refer to the link here, azure.microsoft.com. So here we can refer to this link here, azure.microsoft.com, where we can see the list of all the services offered under this platform, where we can see the services offered under AI/ML, under computation, containers, hybrid solutions, Internet of Things, and there are more than 200 plus services offered under different categories that we can get started with. So AWS currently offers almost 175 services, whereas Azure offers more than 200 services offered under different categories. All right, so Azure, as you know, is one of the leading platforms for cloud computing through which we can choose multiple services and different categories, and then we can get started. So why people prefer Microsoft Azure? Because here we have everything offered on-demand basis. That means there are no upfront costs here. We have to pay only for the services that we have consumed. That's it. For example, if we have deployed 100 VMs and we have consumed them, let's suppose for 2000 hours, then we had to pay only for those 2000 hours, nothing less, nothing more. If we have a small testing requirement and we have used a server only for 2 hours, we had to pay only for 2 hours, that's it. And we have to pay also based on the configuration of the resources as well. That means if we have used a high-end server having more cores of CPU, more amounts of RAM, and a specific set of processor, then we have to pay for that. And if we are deploying a low scale server, I mean a small scale server, then we have to pay accordingly. So it is all based on the requirement, and then we have to pay only based on the amount of services that we have consumed and for the time period we have consumed it. And then it offers abstract resources. That means we can focus only on requirement, not on the hardware specification, as it is already managed by Azure services. We can have the scalability done. That means we can easily scale up and down the resources as per the requirement. And then we can also have the efficiency of experts. That means we can utilize the skills, knowledge, and resources of the experts as per the requirement. Because again, here, we only have to worry about making a solution available to everyone. And then we can let the Azure platform to take care of the entire maintenance, deployment of servers, and every other component that needs to be taken care of. And then we have to pay as you consume. That means we have to pay only for the resources and for the time period that we have used it, nothing less, nothing more. All right, so let's move forward. So we had discussed on the Azure platform. So Azure is currently having multiple services offered under its umbrella. As we discussed, we have more than 200 services offered under blockchain, computation, containers, databases, developer tools, DevOps, hybrid, identity, integration, Internet of Things, management and governance, media, mixed reality, mobile applications, networking, security, storage. So there are multiple solutions being offered under Azure that we can choose accordingly. Now, if you talk about Power BI, so our session is focused on Power BI integration with Azure, and Power BI is one of the leading business intelligence tool offered by Microsoft itself. So the concept of business intelligence is something that is alien to few people these days. And with newer tools emerging every day to help solve the crisis of data management, more and more companies are taking up the entire BI tools to solve their problem statements. So Power BI is basically a Microsoft's BI tool, a business intelligence tool, mainly focused on helping us to analyze and visualize the data that we have the access to. So for a simple example, let's say Amazon needs to analyze its sales performance in last 6 months. Then Amazon has its own set of data, and now by using the BI component, they can know which category has been most profitable for them, which one has not performed well, how the users have been segmented, in which category and how has been the preferences. Suppose even in the same category, their brand preference would have been changed. They are seeing a more sales in any of the market and less sales in the market that they expected. So we can use these kind of BI tools to easily create visualization, or we can say a completely make visualized report out of the current data so that we can take actions on it accordingly. All right. And Power BI is one such tool which helps us in aggregating, analyzing, and visualizing current data set. So the components of Power BI, if you take a look at, then first of all, we have Power Query. So using Power Query, we can search, access, and transform the entire data set as per the requirement. And then we have Power Pivots, so where we can easily model data into multiple analytical components by using the Power Pivot. And then we have Power View, through which we can analyze, visualize, and display data as an interactive data visualization tool. And then we have Power Map, where we can visualize the data set available in the format of geospatial data. For example, we have the sales data for different cities, for different pin codes, for different countries, and we can plot this kind of data back in our Power Map. And here we can have the support for Power Map, even with the entire big data components where we can visualize it one by one. So next we have Power BI service. So we can share data views and workflows refreshable from on-premise and cloud-based data sources. We can ask questions to and get immediate answers with natural language query. We have data management where we can have periodic data refreshers, which are going to expose tables and views as our data feed to the external consumers. And then we have metadata for facilitated search functionality, where user can easily discover and reuse queries as a part of data catalog. All right, so first of all, before we jump into Azure ML, so first of all, let's see how we can work with Power BI individually so that we have a complete understanding on Power BI first. Now, Power BI is offered as a free tool for the individual users. So we can download the community version of Power BI that we can use for free. So we can refer to this link here for called powerbi.microsoft.com, and here we can click on start for free, where we have to enter our own details. And once we enter the details, we will be getting the direct download link that we can use for getting started. So here we can click on Power BI desktop and we can click on download, and then we will be taken to the download section altogether. All right. And once we have the Power BI desktop version downloaded, we can open this up. So here we can refer to Power BI. Now Power BI is one of the easiest platform to get started with. So once we have this one downloaded and then we have opened it up, we can see this dashboard being open in front of us. And first of all, to get started, now this is the entire canvas that we had to work on. So here we can work on the entire data set, and here we have different worksheets, as in we can create multiple worksheets. We can get started here. And then on the right side, we have multiple visualization tool that we can choose based on the data that we have currently selected. So let's open up a sample data with us that we can work on so that we can have a quick insight of what kind of visualization that we can create here. So let's use a sample data set. To get data here, we can click on get data, and here we can choose a source of data. So if we click on more, We have data integration available from multiple platforms. So either we can import a simple CSV Excel file directly, or if we have data stored in a database, we can have the data fetched from multiple data sources, including MySQL, Postgre, Teradata, IBM, Oracle database, Impala, Vertica. So we have multiple integrations available. We can make use of the Power Platform since these both solutions are offered by Microsoft. We have a direct integration available for the data solutions offered by Microsoft Azure that we can integrate this with. We have multiple offline services available where we can integrate this to Salesforce, to Google Analytics, to Adobe Analytics, to Facebook, to Marketo, MailChimp, LinkedIn, Facebook, Zendesk. We have multiple other solutions integrations available here that we can make use of. Let's say we want to work with the Excel sheet, a simple Excel file that we may have the access to. We can click on Excel. We can click on Connect, and here we have to choose the source of the Excel file. So let's say we want to work with a simple financial sample workbook. So here we can open this financial sample workbook, or we can open up the Superstore orders as well. We can use both the data sets. For example, let's say we want to work on Superstore orders. We can click on Open. And first of all, this is going to read the data, and this is going to allow us to fetch a portion of the data that we are currently importing, or we can perform multiple ETL activities as well as per the requirement. So let's say here we have two tables. Here we have orders, and whichever table we choose, whichever sheet we choose, we can see a preview of the data available in this sheet. And then we have a people. We can see the data available for people as well. So now let's say if we want to import both or just one, we can choose one. Let's say we want to work with this order table, that we can click on load. And now the entire sheet is going to be loaded. All right, so now once the table has been loaded here, we can see all the columns available in the right side. And to visualize the entire data set, we can click on this option which says data. And here we can see that means we can see the entire data set in terms of the entire rows and column that we have currently imported. As you can see, currently there are 51,290 rows available in the current data set that we have imported as a part of our Power BI desktop. Now, once we have imported the entire data set here, we can come back to our visualization screen where we can start creating multiple reports out of it. So first of all, let's say here we want to work on importing city, or we suppose here we want to work on importing the quantity, or let's say we want to see the profit ratio here, right? So here we can see the profit, and now we want to see the order date, as in we want to see now we don't want to use this map here, we can remove this. We want to work on the profit and the order date. That means we want to segregate and see how it has been the profit in terms of different year-wise performance. And once we choose any two data set, we can see multiple the best suitable format for this given data set is going to be chosen in terms of visualization. So first of all, we can see the entire bar graph has been chosen, and we can easily increase and decrease the size of the visualization as per the requirement. So we can, suppose here we want to create or we want to focus only on this one for the entire page, and here we can choose entire page, or we want to focus on different components as per requirement. Here we can choose the size accordingly. Means how exactly we want to increase or decrease the size for different parts of visualization. We can choose accordingly. All right. So now let's say here we have in terms of access, here we have year, quarter, and date available. In terms of legend, for example, suppose here we have year, right? Here we have day, here we have, so suppose here we want to visualize this based on, suppose month. Then here we can define, here we can simply cross check. Let's say here we want to see the report based on different months, right? Based on the year and based on, suppose not just based on year, but based on the quarter, as in quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. And then we want to see the entire report based on the month itself instead of quarter. We want to simply segregate them based on month. So we can see which month has performed really well and which month has not been able to set as per the current, or we can say current expectations. We can see the entire report here. And now we want to, now let's say here we want to work on the date hierarchy itself. For example, suppose here we want to work on year, quarter, month. Let's say here we want to display the quarter, right? So here we have this quarter data set here. And now here we want to display another table for quarter. We can choose that. Or suppose here we want to work on this table only. But here we want to make sure, let's say, just to avoid confusion, we can remove this. Now here we can choose this table. And now we want to display the variation in terms of year. But again, here we also want to display in the legends here, we want to display the multiple quarter data set as well. For example, we want to display the year-wise data set, but again, here we want to make sure that we are segregating them based on the year-wise performance. For example, now here we have seen that we were earlier projecting the entire data set just in year. That means year-wise performance. And now we want to see the detailed performance in terms of quarter, and again and that too for a different year. So what we can do, let's say here we can keep the under the axis here for the main, we can keep it to here. And now we can expand order data. So in order date, we have segregation based on year, quarter, month, and day. Now we want to see a detailed report in terms of quarter. So here we can pick quarter, and here we can drop it under legend. So now we can see here we have detailed report on the performance, not just in one quarter, but again in terms of different quarters as well. That means how has been the performance for in 2012 in terms of different quarters, so that we have a better insight how we have performed in which quarter accordingly. And we can see here the entire legend has also been added here for quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, correct? So we can segregate the entire data set. Plus, let's say here we want to segregate them further. So let's say we want to also showcase the segment as well. Segment also in terms of the legend. For example, segment as in which segment we have spent the most. For example, in which year consumer goods have been sold the most, or the corporate segment has been sold the most, or the home and office has been sold the most. We can define it as a part of segment. So it depends upon us how exactly we are going to map it out, what kind of problem statement we are going to solve. Suppose if a company asks us, okay, what has been the profit distribution for different segments in different quarters of the year? So we can simply use a segment to help them visualize, okay, now for the consumer products, the worst year was 2012 and the best year was 2015, where the consumer goods were sold the most, correct? And the worst year for the corporate customers, or for the corporate profit, was 2013, or was what was to 2012 itself, where we saw a profit of almost 84,000, whereas in 2013 we saw a profit of 90,000, and the best year was 2015 itself, and so on. Correct? So here we can quickly visualize the entire report of how has been the entire profit distribution in terms of different segments as well, by quickly showcasing the category report as a part of the requirement. And depending upon data set, here we have multiple integrations available with that we can make use of. For example, say here we want to visualize if we have some kind of geospatial data set. For example, here we can click on add, and here we can visualize the entire geospatial data set as well. For example, let's say here we want to see the profit distribution, and that too based on different cities. So now if we have this kind of data set, and now we can choose how exactly we want to visualize it. So instead of using the bar graph, we have the option for map. Now in map, we have this direct support from ArcGIS map for Power BI, or we can make use of simple maps section available that we can use it for visualization. If you want to use ArcGIS map, then we can simply choose the ArcGIS map, or we can make use of simple map tool offered itself by the Power BI itself. So here we can see here we have plotted the entire report in terms of different cities for the global level. We can see the entire data set has been plotted, and now in terms of profit, right? So let's say if you want to see the segment as well, so here we can add segment as a part of the color. So suppose here we can add different colors